This is a president who has been egging on his supporters for weeks now. We heard him
have to have a majority. On the right hand top of the screen, that's an area where just people held in those electoral college votes, and that's the only way to. Scores of protesters up on the terrace of the Capitol where this inauguration is going to take place, holding all sorts of flags, Trump flags, American flags, don't tread on me flags. The people that I'm looking at here appear to feel like they do have the upper hand, and I'm not seeing any sort of sign of law enforcement right now from where I am.
Well, that's not good at all. Stand by. Phil Mattingly is up on Capitol Hill. You're watching what's going on. Phil, you've covered Capitol Hill for a long time. What are you seeing?
Yeah, Wolf, I think let's start from the basics of what the Capitol Police were trying to do going into this day, what they do for most big events. They set up a security perimeter of fences about 100, 150 feet away from the actual building itself. The general public is not allowed in there. You're not allowed through there unless you have a pass. Those barricades have been completely busted through at this point. There's thousands of people now that have gone through those barricades. The Capitol Police, based on where I am across the street, watching this transpire, the Capitol Police have basically backed off closer into the building to try and circle the perimeter of the Capitol building itself. The bigger issue right now, it would appear, is the number of protesters, and they are clearly in the hundreds, who have now climbed up the steps of the Capitol building. This is an area that the general public is never allowed on, even in normal days, certainly not a day like today. They've essentially overtaken the front of the Capitol, and not just hundreds of people having climbed onto the Capitol building and up the steps of the Capitol building itself, the center steps of the Capitol, but also thousands more on the ground waiting there. So the word we've gotten right now is essentially from Capitol Police, the Capitol building itself is shut down. It's locked down. Nobody's leaving the building. But I think the bigger question right now is this is an overwhelming number of people for the Capitol Police and for what they're prepared for. And, well, you know this as well as anybody. There's been no shortage of huge events and very large protests in Washington, D.C. that come around the Capitol, that are near the Capitol, that are focused on the Capitol. And I've just simply never seen anything like this, not just the breaching of the barricades, but the actual climbing onto the Capitol building in the pavilion itself. They are not physically inside the building, but they are standing right at the doors from the center steps to get into the building right now. So obviously a lot of concern internally between Capitol Police, between staff around here, in terms of what's going to happen next.
This is the reason why that I tried to tell my viewers 2 or 3 days ago, stay away, do not go to this event. I realized that it was tempting in going because of it being so unprecedented, because of it being so historical. But if you don't watch, you'll get caught up in a big hullabaloo, and the next thing you know, you'll be trampled to death, or you'll be engaged in riot breakdown towards riot police that come in there with their goon squads, and they won't just play around with you. They'll physically arrest you, and if you resist, they'll knock you out or do whatever that they have to do to obtain order in that area. They will not let this go for only a certain length of time before the Capitol Police and the military step in, and they will bring it to a halt. I knew this was boiling, and I knew that it was not looking good. And whenever I sat there and I listened to everything that was going on with Donald Trump and his speech towards trying to validate all these different reasons of the reason why that he felt like that the election had been stolen, all he was doing was planting a seed in people's minds and in people's hearts towards ripping and tearing this country apart. This makes me sick to see something like this manifest itself. It literally tears at my heart to know that our ancestors did not intend for our elections to be held in this form, in this fashion. I am so sickened by watching this today. It brings tears to my eyes. I'm absolutely speechless in what that I am observing, in hoping for the best, expecting the worst, and now we're actually seeing the worst. Oh my God. May God have mercy on us all.
Actual goals are, Wolf.
Yeah, I've covered a lot of huge demonstrations in Washington, D.C., especially around Capitol Hill. I haven't seen anything like this. John King, you've covered a lot of these as well. This is pretty dangerous when you see these protesters going through a barricade, getting inside this area, and you got the Vice President of the United States, you got the leadership of the House and the Senate. They're debating these articles right now, and all of a sudden we see this going on.
It's a scary scene, plain and simple. It is a scary scene.
It's a surge. It's a siege. You're having a surge or a siege of human carnage that is now ready to rip and tear and paw and fight and do whatever that it has to be done because now the seed has been planted by our chief and commander. I can't see where he thought that he was going to be able to win over on doing this. All it does is fumigate and acerbate the problem worser than if it was really actually occurring. But if it was actually occurring, don't you feel like that some of these voting irregularities, some of these people that investigate all this stuff, don't you think that they would have already brought this out to the American people? Donald Trump was bringing out all kinds of stuff. We're talking tens of thousands of votes that was either ripped up, torn up, or added to. It is absolutely a heartbreak.
And every American has the right to protest, even
November the 6th. January the 6th, 2021 will go down as being a super spreader to not only the coronavirus, but it will go down as being an event that just adds that much more misery to the coronavirus. This is the reason why China, listen to me, this is the reason why China said, you know what, it ain't worth it. We're going to extend our voting registers and we're going to postpone it for at least a year because of the coronavirus. This is the reason why their leadership looked through all of this and said, you know what, it's not going to be worth it. It's going to create more problems than what it's worth. So let's just put it on the back burner and let's extend it to next year. And if the coronavirus don't get no better in a year towards it still affecting a lot of people, then they'll extend it probably another year. People has to be within their right minds. They have to be within their normal living space in order to make valid decisions, not only in voting, but in coming to an event like this and then participating in unlawful acts. This is rioting. They're at the verge of rioting the Capitol right now. The capital of the United States of America, the free world. And this is not what and who we are about. It is so sad. So
if what
sad.
they're protesting is a fantasy, meaning that the President of the United States won the election. He did not. But as Phil was noting and Manu was noting, the President of the United States, encouraged these protesters and at one point said he might go with them. He has said that before and not actually shown up for the demonstrations. But, well, if there's a line, and it's not a fine line, there's a clear line between activism and anarchy. They are on federal property. The United States Congress is meeting inside those doors. They have every right to be around the grounds and to demonstrate and to make their voices heard, but scaling the stairs, going past the barricades, you're right. They are now trespassing. And to Phil's point, the Capitol Police, there's simply not enough of them. They do not anticipate moments like this. They would have help from the Metropolitan Police, from federal authorities for big events like the inauguration at the Capitol, for the State of the Union at the Capitol. Clearly, they did not anticipate this materializing at the scale it is right now. And so what have they done? The Capitol Police have pulled back and essentially batten the hatches there and to protect the members of Congress inside. It's quite remarkable if you think about the power center of the United States government that is inside that building. The Vice President of the United States, the Speaker of the House, the future Vice President of the United States, the House of Representatives, the United States Senate, all inside there. And again, these are supporters of the president. He lost the election. They have every right to be mad and upset about that, but they do not have the right to trespass on federal property and to have threats. Now, there's often conflicting information.
What did you expect whenever you have a pandemic that has destroyed human beings' lives? Their jobs has been ripped away from them. Their health care has been ripped away from them. Their hope has been ripped away from them. They can now, obviously, we have got all these people that has come out to the football field that now wants to play quarterback in the middle of the game. They have now started paying attention to various things that's been going on throughout our government for the past 25, 30, 40 years. People are upset. People have taken drugs. People's minds are not right. People's got guns. People has violent intentions. What did the United States government expect whenever you have a president that's going to spew off such negativity in a time of a crisis on top of a crisis? Now we have a triple crisis. We already had a crisis before the coronavirus ever hit, pertaining to different things that was not being run appropriately in our government. Now we have a triple crisis. Now we have a super spreader triple crisis going on that could escalate into a major ordeal. This is the reason why I told my viewers, whatever you do not go to Washington, D.C. Stay away, stay away, stay away. People think that I'm trying to hurt them. I'm not. The founder of the Windmill Ministries has never wanted to hurt the American people. Never, ever wanted to hurt them. We wanted to get your attention. And granted, we had to use some tactics ourselves just to be able to get your attention. But we've never wanted to physically harm any human being in America. Though we've been accused of it, though we've been falsely accused of it, I should have changed my diaphragm there just a little bit. We have been falsely accused of it. We are not guilty of it. Whenever you have this type of anarchy that is going on, you have a recipe of disaster that is brewing. If Winston Churchill was alive right now, he would say to you and me, this is another perfect storm brewing towards a possible civil war here in America. We're going to have to work smarter and not harder. We're going to have to pull together. United we stand. Jesus said that a divided house would not stand. This is the reason why we're seeing the division that we're seeing right now. Well, it's more of the people in this area and the people throughout the state and federal government did not want to support the Windmill Ministries, though the Windmill Ministries has always supported love, grace, peace, utopia, and all the other things that the Bible teaches, including some of the bad, but most of the good. They wanted to form a resistance movement back in 1980 and 8 in not acknowledging what had went on pertaining to biblical Bible prophecy. Now we are where we are in the 21st century, in the year 2021, January the 6th, staring down a triple barrel of a triple crisis of a super spreader that I know will get out of hand, that there will be people arrested, there will be people hurt, There will be cocktail bombs thrown. There will be people that will be caught up in this that does not deserve to get caught up in this. And I realize in ways our government has failed the people. And to take the $28 trillion and to throw those taxes up onto the back of the American people is not right. It's not right for us. It's not right for our children. It's not right for our children's children. So the rich man, the powerful man, better sit down and reacquaise what is going on and why it's going on if they expect to see different results out of all this. Once more, the year of the Jubilee has passed formally, but metaphorically, we are still in that part of that Jubilee that has broken down the system to the point that now we as a society are going to have to take some very, very powerful, strong leaps and bounds towards straightening all this out. If we are ever going to see biblical Bible prophecy fulfill itself in the format of peace and utopia, grace and forgiveness, brotherhood, my brother's keeper, etc., etc. This is ugly. This makes my stomach churn. This is at the brink of something major fixing to escalate here in America. And you know, once we ever become so battered that our true enemy overseas sees what's going on over here, it leaves us vulnerable for a sure enough harsh attack, either through cyber or a literal attack through terrorism or whatever. And I'm not talking about homegrown terrorists. I'm talking about real international terrorism. That once they see this, they'll say, they couldn't keep it together. They didn't hold it together. And our true enemy will take advantage of this moment. He will see, or they will see, that we are vulnerable in this moment in time. I've tried to warn you, I've tried to warn you, I've tried to warn you, and nobody wanted to listen. May God have mercy on all of us, is all I got to say.
In situations like this, but Congresswoman Elaine Luria of Virginia, a Democrat.
Oh, God.
I just had to evacuate my office because of a pipe bomb reported outside. Supporters of the president are trying to force their way into the Capitol, and I can hear what sounds like multiple gunshots. Now, again, I want to be clear. When you have a chaotic situation like this, there's often conflicting information about what actually happened. We'll explore whether there are such threats, but clearly members of Congress are among those who feel unsafe right now.
Oh,
All right, let's go
God.
to Manu Raju right now. He's getting more information.
Oh,
Manu, what do you
Lord.
Now we have been told, and they've been spotted. Protesters are inside the Capitol building. There are scores
God.
of protesters, we're told. I'm not sure exactly how many, but there have been witnessed. They're outside the Senate, just off the Senate floor, the second floor of the Capitol. Now, there's just an alert that just went out to all congressional staff, as well as everybody in the Capitol building, urging people to move inside their office, their nearest office, telling them to take emergency equipment with them.
Oh,
Stay away
God.
from external doors and windows. It says if you're in a public space, find a place to hide or seek cover, remain quiet, silence electronics. It said once you're in a safe location, make sure you tell your superiors about that. It said no one will be permitted to enter or exit the Capitol building until directed by the U.S. Capitol Police. This alert also says if you are in a building outside of the affected area, remain clear of the police activity and await further direction. Wolf, this is something I have never seen in my time covering Capitol Hill, that
We're under attack. It's a siege.
Building that come inside the building, and just steps from where U.S. senators have been debating on the Senate floor. From the pictures that we're seeing, that there are actually protesters just off the Senate floor, on the second floor of the United States Capitol. So
All right.
clearly the police
Hold
are
on a
trying to get
second,
hold of
Manu,
the
because I know Brian Todd is with at this area where we see police now showing up. What are you seeing, Brian?
Right, Wolf, you just saw a large number of police officers, as you see on the steps there. They have now taken the steps where some protesters are on these steps that you're seeing. And I'm going to have our photojournalist Christine pan over there. All right, we just heard a concussive blast come from there. We've been hearing flashbangs every few minutes for the last hour, both on this side, this is the east side of the Capitol, and on the west side of the Capitol.
This is what a crazy man has just fueled the fire to. Donald J. Trump. A madman. No proof. This is what he just ignited. May God have mercy on the American people.
On the west side, it's also very, very tense because we saw people there climbing up on risers that were built for the inauguration and breaching police lines there. You can clearly see where they breached the police line here.
I tell you what I'm fixing to do. I'm fixing to go get some supplies. I'm fixing to get my truck. I'm fixing to go get supplies because odds are panic is going to set in. Once panic succeeds, once fear succeeds, then rage, madness.
Got all the way up the steps. They got to the balcony up there.
Oh my God.
Police have just come from the Independence Avenue side behind us here and have started to enter the plaza. Now, the question is, how long are they going to let these people stay up there and do what they're doing? You know, it is an incredible scene. I've heard you and Manu and John talking about. We've never seen anything like this before. We've never seen a breach where protesters have gotten that close to the building. And I can tell you on the west side of the Capitol, Wolf, it was very, very tense as well. The crowd is bigger on the west side because they were able to kind of receive people in that open space there from the ellipse. But there were a lot of concussive blasts, a lot of flashbangs, a lot of tension there, and lines were breached there as well. So the real question, as we see this kind of tension boiling here, is, you know, are there going to be massive police reinforcements coming, and how long they're going to let this go on, Wolf?
Yeah, it looks really dangerous, and especially if, Manu, if you're still there, you said some of these protesters actually got inside Capitol Hill. Normally you have to go through metal detectors. Police are examining you. Did they just rush through? And do we know if these individuals are armed?
Good question, Wolf. Uncertain about that. But the fact that they got in suggests they did not go through the security. Remember, this building has been closed off to visitors since the pandemic began. So only people who have credentials, like reporters, staff members, and people who work in the Capitol building, and the members of Congress themselves, they're the only ones who are allowed in this building. The fact that we have many protesters who are now inside the building suggests that they breached the security, the police officers that are guarding the exit somehow.
People will see this on TV, and it will feed the nut jobs to the point that stuff like this is going to be going on in Memphis, St. Louis, Nashville, all your bigger cities, Atlanta, Houston, LA, Portland, Oregon, Wisconsin, Chicago, New York. It will feed the crazies. Whenever they see stuff like this live, somebody needs to pull the plug right now. If I had access to all the monitoring, I mean, I know they talk about a lot about free press. But if I was a leader and had control over all the media in America, I would pull the plug. I would pull the plug to where you did not know that this was going on. Because all it's going to do is feed a frenzy. It'll be just like a fire setting off, and there'll be other fires that will set off in regard to it. In other words, we're under siege from the inside. And this is the very thing that destroyed Rome. This is the very thing that our true adversary, our true enemy, loved to watch this occur. And now it's occurring. And Donald Trump will go down in history towards being the man that has caused disruption, pain, agony, and chaos, basically, in his own country because of his own words. And why people couldn't have set him down and explained that to him before this ever merged to this is beyond me. Whenever you're dealing with public, when you're dealing with the people, They can turn on you like a biting dog, pertaining to what discussion it is that's being talked about. And whenever you feed their minds full of illegitimacies that Donald Trump spewed out for over an hour talking about in detail, this is the results from it. I just imagine this is going out throughout the world circuitry, all over national media, all over the world.
They got in, got past the security, the magnetometers that inspect whether people are bringing, firearms or other weapons inside the building. So somehow they got into the building, and from the pictures that we have seen, Wolf, they are in the Senate. They are on the second floor of the Senate. This is exactly where the Senate debate was just happening.
Yeah.
Just steps from that, Wolf. And we're told also that the Capitol Police have instructed the lawmakers themselves that the whole building is in lockdown to stay where they are. So both chambers are now in recess. They have paused the certification of the electoral votes. They are sitting in their chambers as this situation, unprecedented situation, escalates. Protesters inside the building somehow have gotten in, creating a very tense and scary situation in which staff members, others, have been told to go into their offices, stay in their offices, lock their doors, because they don't know who's in the building, what they have, whether people have weapons, because of concerns that this is going to escalate even further out of control, Wolf.
Yeah, this is looking at inside. Look at this. These protesters are inside Statuary Hall right now. You see the statues. This is a moment I never saw in my life. These individuals just rushed through security. They are inside Statuary Hall. This is a legendary place where all of us who've covered Capitol Hill, it's hard to believe what we're seeing right there. They're just walking through. Where are Capitol Police? It's an awful situation. They're having a good time in Statuary Hall. Jake Tapper.
Some of those statues are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. A matter of fact, some of those statues are irreplaceable because of who done the work, the elaborate work that they done during the time that they made that statue. That statue is one of a kind, and because of it, it makes it basically work a piece of art that you cannot put a dollar figure on. And if these idiots get in there and start tearing up a bunch of stuff, it could literally destroy millions, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of art and worth of stuff in what they're doing right now. This is got to be one of the worst case scenarios that I could ever even dream of or think about happening. And I hate to say it, but this is not a protest movement. This is a takeover. This is not a protest movement. This is an illegal takeover is what this is. Protest is done orderly and it's done legally and it's done within the guidelines of whoever has allowed for it to happen. Whenever you start doing stuff like this, now you're considered a vigilante. Now you're considered an all out and out lawbreaker. Now you're trespassing. Now you're committing crimes. Once more, who stoked the fire? Our chief and commander, Donald J. Trump, that sat up there and spewed all that stuff out for over an hour as people listened to it. There is power in people's words. I don't care if you're a preacher, teacher, I don't care if you're a politician. There's power in people's words. And Donald Trump has just ignited something that he may not be able to put out.
I don't know about you, but this is an incredibly dangerous situation that's unfolding here in the United States.
It's stunning, Wolf. It's absolutely stunning, and it's quite frankly dangerous. President Trump could stop this with one tweet, but instead he's on Twitter attacking Vice President Pence for refusing to go along with his attempt at a coup, at a bloodless coup. We hope it stays bloodless. And you have protesters accosting senators. You have people, members of Congress being evacuated because of bomb threats. You have protesters right outside the Senate chamber. It is a very potentially dangerous situation. I've been in Washington for decades now. I've never seen anything like this. And again, President Trump, if he wanted to, and there is really no reason to think he wants to, he could stop this. He could stop it with one tweet, and he will not, because frankly, he likes this.
By not discouraging what we are seeing, the president is encouraging what we are seeing.
Absolutely.
Just as he has in a much more overt way, over and over and over again, with his tweets. Completely irresponsible, and this is the result of that. Unfortunately, as unusual and as terrifying and as surprising as what we are seeing is going on, in a lot of ways, it is one of the least surprising things. What is remarkable is that this kind of thing hasn't happened earlier, because that these protesters, who of course have the right to protest, but this is beyond that. As John said, this is basically taking over, storming the Capitol. It's anarchy. It really is anarchy, and
it's an illegal takeover. We're under siege. It's war. It just ain't broke out yet in the bloodshed.
President